Well, my friends, welcome to the movement with Dan Unitas. Today, there's it's all over the news. Joy Reid of MSNBC has been fired from her job, and after her show, The Reid Out on MSNBC, had been canceled. To put it bluntly, I've never been a fan of Joy Reid. I think that she has been somebody that has been acted as a purveyor of hatred within our country, and somebody that has massively stoked the flames of division. I think at times it's important for groups to identify and gather together in order to raise their voices, so that they can be heard as a group, and to call out things in our society that are not right, and seek justice. So I am a believer in that, of people being able to band together and to raise their voices up, and petition and protest, and stand on their ground, stand on their sense of justice, and have an outcry and a demand for changes. But at the same time, I feel that our country in the last decade has been very ruthlessly kind of undermined by people like Joy Reid, stoking the flames of division, and basically not having an end goal, but to continually have people persisting in a continued state of restlessness, of feeling frustration, of feeling under attack, of feeling like oppressed, continually pushing this oppression narrative, which I think the victimhood culture of the last decade has been absolutely exhausting, and there's not any resolution. We're not seeking to, we're not earnestly and in a genuine fashion seeking to solve anything. I think 10 years of America tearing itself apart and hating each other, with people, purveyors of hate on the left and the right, has left us really in a bad state. And so everybody constantly feels under attack, and everybody constantly feels like we want to be overt, filled with hatred and rage at the other side, the other side. And if you talk to anybody on this side or this side, they'll tell you, well, it's all the other side. It's all them. And once they stop being terrible people, then we're going to have happiness, right? And so, I have this this poster behind me that I really believe in. It's Martin Luther King, and he says, "Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." So I'm a big fan of Martin Luther King. I think Martin Luther King Jr. is an American hero, if ever there was one. And he believed in love. He was had strong Christian values coming from Jesus. He also followed Gandhi, who is the other poster behind me, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And Gandhi was somebody that practiced this art of nonviolent protest, and standing on justice, and standing on intellectualism, and standing on philosophy, and standing for love, and not being somebody that is allowing all Jesus, Martin Luther King, and Gandhi are all people that wanted to fill themselves up with love and not hate. And I think Joy Reid decisively is somebody that has stoked the flames of hatred and division within our country. So I want to watch a clip, and I also want to make a point that here the movement with Dan Unitas, this channel, is all about having compassion, and it's all about trying to find that next step for us as a society, our next decade. I want our next decade to be defined by United States citizens coming together on the left and the right, and ultimately dropping our weapons and not trying to attack each other. So this is a significant moment in time in our culture. Is somebody that was, in my opinion, a very strong purveyor of hate mongering, has now been let go from her job. And so I'm not going to celebrate that, because that's not to the point of my message here. I'm not somebody. We should not wallow in the muck, and we should not be cruel. We should. I think for me, I am happy that she is being taken off the air, because I feel that she again is if anybody is going to be stoking hatred within our country, I think that is not okay. And so Martin Luther King Jr., he's a hero of mine. the difference between a Martin Luther King Jr. Character versus a Joy Reid character is just the message that they're spreading. Joy Reid was extremely critical of of whiteness in our country, and to the point of there's a characterizing, stereotyping, demonization, and belittling and not holding all Americans up and saying all Americans are valuable. All Americans, she talked a lot about this. White nationalism, which in my opinion is just bunk for, disallowing anybody to feel patriotic and have pride in our country. And so I'm never going to be on Joy Reid's side of any sort of, movement. Whereas I absolutely would, I would be very proud to march along with Martin Luther King Jr. if I was alive at that time, because he was a peaceful, nonviolent, protester standing on justice. They put him in jail many times, but he continued to just, break the law because he felt that he had a higher calling, which was just justice for Black people and justice for humanity. And his vision was having men and women, boys and girls of all different colors, marching, being united together. And so that's the message of this channel. And Joy Reid's message is, hey, you are under attack, and these people on the other side of it are terrible people, and really, again, fanning the flames of division within our country and not allowing us to have any sort of pride in our country or patriotism or and be united. And that's, people like that should not be given endless opportunities to kind of prove themselves. I think the message is bogus, and yeah, I'm actually, I am pleased that she's not going to be on TV. I think that shows a move in the right direction. Anyways, there's a clip here I want to jump into. A lot of people, a lot of influencers, a lot of people have a lot to say. I want to just comment on that.
A war has erupted between two heavyweight political commentators in the wake of Joy Reid's shock firing from MSNBC after the network suffered a string of ratings disasters and money woes.
My show had value, and that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I try not to cry on TV. And I think this is kind of like being on TV, so I apologize.
But not everyone.
Joy Reid, if you're out there watching this, I have compassion for you. You lost your show. You had a dream. You rose, quite high, and you were able to have your own show. That's a tremendous achievement for anybody. And so I have compassion for this woman who is tearing up. She lost what she ultimately had strived for. And so, as again, a lot of people out there are going to be cheering the fact that she's crying, and basically the fact that she got her comeuppance for spreading negative messages. And ultimately, again, I do agree with the notion that she should not have a show, but I'm not going to sit here and be cruel and laugh at this woman who's crying. We need to, that's what I'm advocating for on this platform, is leveling up in our actually having empathy for people and actually having empathy for all people. Joy Reid is an American citizen. Let's get back to having respect for our fellow Americans, regardless of different views. And at the end of the day, if somebody is hurt and is in a bad way and feeling absolutely crushed and going through some a traumatic event, let's have compassion for them, even regardless of who they are and their political affiliation. I don't think it's right to just constantly be, again, bring it back to Martin Luther King. I'll say this again: hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. I firmly believe that, and we need to get more serious about that type of, wrap our heads around that philosophy, because our country has gone down the tubes because we're just taking pot shots at each other. It's not right.
Was devastated. Outspoken commentator Megyn Kelly had no sympathy for Reid.
The big news tonight will be Joy Reid's final show on MSNBC. Single tear, white woman tears happening right here, Joy. She was officially fired over the weekend because she's a racist, horrible news anchor with no ratings. And that's really been the truth for a long time. MSNBC's under new management, and I guess they decided to come to grips with reality. The truth is,
I do think the mocking there with like the single tear, I don't think it's appropriate. I'm going to call out that from the right wing. I think she's making a point of something that Joy Reid had said. I think Joy Reid had said at one point, I don't care about the tears of white women or white men or something like that. So she is basically throwing that, twisting that, and using that as, to mock her, Joy Reid. And I think that this is the type of things that we need to get away from. We are in a culture of shock value. We're in a culture of like, yeah, the other side's losing, take that. And if we, I'm saying this on the show, I'm going to keep saying it. If we are, if we are fighting, then we're all losing. If you're on the left or right, we're all wrong. We need to be having a fixation on how do we connect as citizens of this country, and not constantly be making doing these send-ups on each other, because it's constant bickering. It's like having kids. I'm a father. I'm a proud father. My kids, kids bicker all the time. You just look at the kids and saying, what do you? Grow up. You guys can have a choice to either bicker with each other eternally and constantly be, dad has to get involved, or you can figure out how to respect each other and not have this fighting. And everybody knows how kids are, so it's probably not going to get solved anytime soon. But shouldn't we as adults kind of seek something higher? We need stronger leaders in our country that are going to be showing us the way, and I seek to be an example of that. The movement with Dan Unitas is about coming together and fixing some of these problems.
This is very sad news for us, as she's provided so much material over the years. I feel the way I felt when Brian Stelter got fired, but he came back, and you never know. I'm sure Joy Reid will wind up doing something where we will continue to get to respond to her absolutely insane POV.
This sparked a war of words online, with former CNN host Don Lemon blasting Kelly's response.
Let me just say to Megyn Kelly, in my 30-some years as a journalist and my 50-some years as a person of color, go f*** yourself. Okay?
I find, to be honest, Don Lemon here to be absolutely a despicable character. I think when you look back when I was a kid, I felt that journalism meant something. There was a sense of, of duty to journalism. I'm a journalist. That means something. That means we have a free press. That means the journalism is going to be doing investigative reporting. Journalism is going to be holding politicians accountable. Journalism is not going to be partisan, and it's going to go in there and it's going to try to figure out what's what, and work to, if there's corruption, journalism and a free press is going to seek to weed that out. Instead, journalism in the last a couple decades has been extremely partisan, and it's basically opinion based. Basically entertainment, and where it's just making a circus of our world and throwing shade at one another. And this is, we have kind of been decimated in terms of our integrity in class. Look, this guy's talking about being a journalist for 30 years and alive for 50. You got a 50-year-old man that's coming over here talking to a woman and saying, go F yourself. What have we devolved into? That if not, this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. We are intellectually bankrupt. We have very little integrity, very little classiness. This guy's just saying, go F yourself, and then pretentiously drinking out of a Good Morning America cup. I don't know if that's, I don't know why he would choose to leave that in the clip. And I don't know if it was, emphasizing the Good Morning America. Regardless, it's just like, man, this guy's really pretentious and doesn't realize that he's completely showing that he's lacking in integrity here. And so this is, guys, this is what I'm talking about. We're all just playing in the mud. It matters how you fight a fight. Martin Luther King knew that. If you show up and you stand on the side of what's right and justice, and you show up and you turn the other cheek, and you practice the art of nonviolent protest, standing up for what you believe on, and then the other people come over here and they're violent towards you or they're aggressive towards you, it really exposes who the people are who are in the wrong. So if you're gonna, Don Lemon here he doesn't like what Megyn Kelly has said. Well, first of all, Megyn Kelly was mocking Joy Reid, so I understand. She's kind of firing something across the brow of liberals and mocking them. And then look what happens. Don Lemon comes out and now he's slinging mud. So we're all just slinging mud at each other. This is so infantile. I can only describe this as infantile. And shame on Don Lemon for not have a commentary, have something to say that's not so base, that's not so in the mud. It's come on. As a society, we need to do better.
And Lemon didn't stop there, showing his support for Reid by hosting a bizarre watch party live on YouTube for Reid's final show.
Hi, everyone. We're preparing at my house and on the Don Lemon Show for a Joy Reid watch party. So we will see you at 7 Eastern on the Don Lemon Show on YouTube to watch the farewell for Joy Reid on MSNBC. We'll see you then.
Joy Reid's colleague and rumoured replacement Jen Psaki also sang her praises with a lengthy tribute.
I know Joy just ended her show by thanking her team, which is the most authentically Joy thing to do, I can tell you, and they are also a very incredible team. But I want to start this show tonight by thanking her. I want to thank her because she's done amazing work here. She does tell stories no one tells. She does that fearlessly on her show.
But it wasn't only Megyn Kelly rejoicing at the news of Reid's departure. Commentator Rob Smith said Joy Reid's show was trash.
Joy Reid, your show had no value. It was trash, it was propaganda, and it was one of the most damaging things to the unity of America that I have ever seen. There was not one single scam over the past 5 to 7 years that you have not foisted on the American public. You foisted the BLM scam on the American public. You foisted the Russian collusion delusion on the American public. You foisted the January 6th basically lie and propaganda on the American public. You pushed the COVID propaganda on the American public. And so now that you have outlived your usefulness as an effective propaganda tool for the corporate masters that you serve, they have gotten rid of you, which is what happens. I hope that you are happy and feel good about yourself for basically denigrating Black Republicans, for crapping all over Black Republicans like Byron Donalds, Black Republicans like Tim Scott, Black Republicans like me. Black Republicans, you did nothing but smear, denigrate, and bully all of us because we did not fall in line with that agenda. So your tears are delicious. I care nothing about these tears because you are a liar, you are a racist, and you are a propagandist, and I'm glad your show is gone.
And perhaps the happiest.
I think so I'm not going to touch on. He touched on a lot of different points, and he called them scams. You know, this show's not about left and right and validating different perspectives from that perspective. He was very clearly had passionate views on different news stories and called her a propagandist. What I will draw attention to on that clip was very big difference in terms of being articulate and actually having being intellectual and having something of substance to say. He was talking about how Joy Reid was denigrating Black Republicans, and he rifled off a bunch of names. So I appreciate his response more so than I appreciate Don Lemon's response to Megyn Kelly with the go F yourself or whatever. It was somebody that had he actually had points. He had some sort of he was holding himself to a standard of actually saying, doing some level of analysis on Joy Reid and saying, look, this one woman was part of the propaganda machine, and ultimately she got fired because that's what happens, as he put it. I'll stop short of saying I appreciate his perspective and totally agree with him in the sense that I don't know about, again, he rifled off a bunch of news items that I don't know what my views would be on, but at the end of the day he said your tears are delicious and I'm happy that you got fired. And so again, my viewpoint on it is I do feel that I am happy that she no longer is kind of on TV and has the platform that she did, because I do feel like she was stoking division, but I'm not going to say that her tears are delicious or anything like that. I don't think that we should have that mindset. I think we should be more somber and more classy and act with more integrity. If you're slinging mud, it's not a good look. It doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. We look like clowns when we're slinging mud at each other. So you can kind of get your point across without kind of jumping in the mud with people. So I did feel that man was articulate, and he said my message at the onset there, which was effectively she has basically tried to hamper any sort of unification within our country, and for that I do think that she is massively in the wrong, and I agree with that sentiment. But I'm going to stop short, and I think we should all stop short of celebrating and dancing on people's misfortune, and just trust in people that we know what it is, and kind of say, just say your opinion without the spiking the ball on somebody at the end.
This person with the news was Donald Trump. The president applauded the sacking, particularly as he was a victim of Joy Reid's sprays countless times. He wrote on Truth Social, Low-life chairman of Comcast, Brian Roberts, the owner of ratings challenge NBC and MSDNC, has finally gotten the nerve up to fire one of the least talented people in television, the mentally obnoxious, racist Joy Reid. Based on her ratings, which were virtually non-existent, she should have been canned long ago, along with everyone else who works there. And it seems like Joy Reid isn't going anywhere if her final sign-off is anything to go by. She will be following Don Lemon.
I think Donald Trump. Everybody knows who Donald Trump is. His personality, and he likes to. He is somebody that can get real nasty with people when he feels attacked, and basically he's this kind of guy that always, is always going to be pushing his own brand. He stands on his belief system, and if anybody doesn't agree with him, well, they're just an obstacle in the way. And so he's obviously going to be somebody that's going to be in frequent conflict with people, and then the way that he deals with that is to get particularly nasty with them, and basically the gloves are off if you're messing with Donald Trump. If you kind of poke the bear, you're going to get bit. I think that's kind of what Donald Trump represents. So for me, I think that's not really the message that I'm very clearly not trying to push. I think I'm pushing for unity, and I'm pushing for people to engage with each other with more respect, and so I'm not going to be agreeing with spiking the ball and being nasty towards people like we kind of just saw. Bold statement from him.
Steps out of the mainstream media, plugging her Blue Sky and Substack platforms.
Shout out to our amazing readers, our audience. I just love running into y'all in the airport, on these streets, and on social media. I could not love or appreciate you more. Thank you for holding us down. Almost 5 years, we are a toddler, and we out in these streets, in this world, and we are not gonna stop. That is tonight's Reid Out. You can follow me on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and on Substack at substack.joy, it's at joyandreid.substack.com. Also on TikTok and Facebook at Joy Reid Official. Inside with Jen Psaki starts now.
I actually respect the fact that she's kind of got this attitude of like, I'm never going to be kept down, and that's a very American thing. I just talked about Trump being in that vein as well. It's like, yeah, you can criticize me and you can come after me, but I'm going to be undeterred. I think that is inherently American, and that there's very American spirit within that. And for Joy Reid, again, I don't agree with her messaging. I don't agree with. I think it's largely hate based and pushing identity politics and pushing division and constantly making people feel uneasy and anxious, pushing anxiety within our country about constantly being oppressed and under attack, and then endlessly perpetuating this culture war where effectively there's never going to be a winner, and we're going to be locked in this kind of cycle for in perpetuity. I can't stand that. So I don't agree with her message, but at the same time, she kind of showing up with a stiff upper lip, and I am undeterred, and I know that there's people out there that my message resonates with, and we're going to keep fighting. I have a respect for that, despite the fact that I don't agree with her messaging. I think that does show somebody being persistent and having fortitude and working, overcoming obstacles is a very American thing, and I think we should be that's. Again, it's kind of awkward because I'm saying that I agree with her firing, but at the same time I'm kind of showing some respect towards her. But again, I think for me as an American citizen, I want people on the left and the right to be patriotic and to be proud to be in our country. The way to do that, I think, is to drop the hate. If we're slinging mud, if we have hatred in our hearts and we're slinging mud at the other side, then we're all guilty. If we're left or right, we're all wrong. I think we need to be American citizens first, and we have to identify with our ability as American citizens to express ourselves freely. We should all identify as Americans in the fact that we get to be in a free country and lift that up. And then I also always tell people on this channel, I think that we should have attempt to have a respect for people of all Americans, even when we disagree, especially when we disagree. Really having a pride within ourselves to respect our fellow American citizens and want to get along. We want to. Let's all we can, enthusiastically and spiritedly disagree with one another, but at the same time, we should all hold on to the, acknowledge the fact that we have an ability in this country to have the freedom to express ourselves. I honestly think Joy Reid has worked against that, in the sense that, we in the last decades, it's been a lot of suppression of people's voices, in the sense that, we've had a narrative that's been allowed to flourish, where certain people are allowed to speak. Other people, if you have a contradictory opinion, you're going to run afoul of kind of the corporatized values that have kind of sprung up in the last decade. Well, basically, protecting certain groups, and the other groups are kind of being left to whatever. They don't, being told that they don't matter because they're oppressors and things like that. A lot of these messaging of stoking division, people don't really understand how if certain people, I'll leave it at that. I'm kind of going into a rambling session here. Maybe that's a topic for another video. But yeah, honestly, my message to everybody is, I think in America, we want to become more united on the fact that we're all Americans, and try to get along with each other, and really take pride in that, and try to respect each other as American citizens. Anyways, this has been The Movement with Dan Unitas. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a real pleasure, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.